And even if trans women, specifically because they are in like the starting process of their transition or whatever, have significant competitive advantages, let's say they do. In 99% of the instances, they don't. There's plenty of empirical evidence to suggest that they don't. But even if they do, it does not matter. It does not matter because it's not unnatural. It's not unnatural to be trans unless you think it's unnatural to be trans, in which case you are transphobic. That's it. That's the take.
Trans athlete is going to do a lot to like foster a lot of really bad will against like trans people in general. I think it's a really good turf argument for, well, look, these people just want to destroy women's spaces.
Who gives a fuck if women can't compete at the top level? If they can't do it?
Sounds completely reasonable to me. And if it eliminates women's spaces from sports and makes it so that, I mean, keep in mind it'd be eliminating men's spaces from sports as well. And I have absolutely no issue with that. The turfs are completely right. I do want to actually get rid of gendered spaces in the sports arena, and that they are 100% right. And I don't base my opinions off of what the most radical turfs, feared that I'm going to do.
All right, guys. So what you just saw there was a series of leftists just openly admitting what we all knew about what they believe in regards to women. They simply don't care about women's spaces. They don't care about women's spaces at all. In fact, some of them are happy to see women's spaces be eliminated, right? Because they're just so woke, right? And if you're opposed to the elimination of women's spaces, then you're transphobic, right? According to Cenk Uyghur's nephew, Hassan Abi. And also, according to him, injecting hormones into your body to have levels of that hormone that are not natural and cutting off parts of your body, your genitalia, apparently, according to him, that is completely 100% natural, right? That is natural. Again, I just love how these people are simply straightforward about their intentions. And that's good because when you have people going on camera and saying that they're, totally fine with women's spaces being eliminated, then you know who's actually against women, right? You know who's actually against women's rights. You know who the real misogynist is in this society, right? So with that being said, the topic of this video is about a trans cyclist, Miss Emily Bridges, who was thrown out of a meet after female competitors threatened to boycott the race if they competed. Okay, so this story right here I found to be interesting and fascinating because this is basically the cyclist version of Leah Thomas. And you guys all know who Leah Thomas is, the NCAA Penn college swimmer that dominated while they were swimming against biological women, right? Leah Thomas is transgender. We should all be familiar with that. Now, throughout that saga, I was very critical of Leah Thomas being allowed to compete against biological women, but also I was very critical of the women as well that I felt like did not do enough to save their own sport, right? I made the argument that the events, the swimming events, including the NCAA championship, should have been boycotted by the women, right? The women should have all stood up together as one and boycotted the event in order to fix this problem. Because quite honestly, if they don't care enough to boycott and to take a stand for their own rights and the existence of their sport, then who else is supposed to care, right? They gotta care more than anybody else, right? And I made the argument that if they do that, then that's when you're gonna see some real progress. And lo and behold, we have a real life example of how women boycotting transgender athletes participating in their sport led to the transgender athlete not being able to participate, right? With this story right here, okay? As Emily Bridges, again, was banned from competing against female competitors after they actually put their foot down, right? Empirical evidence that it works, okay? So we're going to talk about that. But before we talk about that, I just want to let you guys know if you like my channel and you want to support my channel, you can do so using the links in the description below. You can support the Patreon, you support the PayPal, you support the merch. There are multiple ways to support if you would like to do so. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll this news clip to give you guys just a little bit more context in regards to what is going on involving this situation with Emily Bridges being banned from competing against biological women. Take a look.
Transgender cyclist Emily Bridges. It was set to be a very big weekend for Emily, who was due to compete against some of the sport's biggest names, including Laura Kenny, 5-time Olympic champion at the National Omnium Championships, what would have been her first women's event. But British Cycling have put out a statement this evening and saying, although under their transgender and national binary participation policy, Emily was due to participate in this event at the weekend, they have now received information from the Union Cyclist Internationale, that's the UCI, that under their current guidelines, Emily is not eligible to participate in this event this weekend. In this statement from British Cycling, they say, we've been in close discussions with the UCI regarding Emily's participation and have also engaged closely with Emily and her family regarding her transition and involvement in elite competitions. We acknowledge the decision of the UCI with regards to Emily's participation. However, we fully recognise her disappointment with today's decision. And they go on to say that we believe all participants within our sport deserve more clarity and understanding around participation in elite competitions, and we will continue to work with the UCI on both Emily's case and the wider situation with regards to this issue. And they also talk about the need now, they feel, British Cycling, for a coalition, as they call it, to share, learn and understand more about how we can achieve fairness in a way that maintains the dignity and respect of all athletes. So that is a statement from British Cycling tonight saying that transgender cyclist Emily Bridges, due to the ruling from the Union Cyclist Internationale, will not be able to compete at the National Omnium Championships this weekend.
All right, guys, so you've seen that, you heard that. Let's just go ahead and read more about what's going on here. Transgender cyclist Emily Bridges has been told he cannot compete in the National Omnium Championships in Derby on Saturday, April 2nd. The move came after female competitors reportedly threatened not to take part in the event. Bridges was allowed to race against them and Olympic champion Dame Laura Kenny this weekend. The 21-year-old Bridges is said to be disappointed that he will not be allowed to compete. The international governing body Union Cyclist Internationale declared that the trans athlete who competed at the highest level as a male and held the UK national junior men's record over 25 miles just weeks ago was ineligible to race against biological women. Regardless, former Olympic swimming champ Sharon Davies accused the ruling bodies of a blatant fudge. All right, so this person was competitive, okay, was a national junior men's record holder when they were competing as a male. Okay, so what do you guys think is going to happen when they compete as a female? I think they're going to dominate, right? I think they're going to dominate, okay? And even if they don't dominate, even if they happen to lose, it's still not fair because you're taking up spots from other people, right? It's still unfair, regardless of whether they win or lose, okay? But this person right here, again, you know, unlike Leah Thomas, is actually pretty good as a man, right? So let's read more here. Davies' criticism came after the UCI revealed it will convene an expert panel in the coming weeks to decide whether Bridges can compete in the female category. British Cycling said they still need to review the available science, although the 5 British sports councils have already carried out a comprehensive review of the science 6 months ago. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about when it comes to the science, bro. Like, the science is settled on this, right? We all know the science on this. It's not fair. Quote, I think the very serious threat of a boycott helped hugely to concentrate their minds and cause intervention, but I'm being positive. We are turning a corner, Davies said, as quoted by the Daily Mail. Sport is all about fairness. There are ways to have inclusion without sacrificing women's sports. It would not have been fair to ask Laura Kenny and other women cyclists that Bridges would have come up against to have to race a rival with the advantages of a biological man. No amount of testosterone reduction can mitigate that. But we're being told to turn a blind eye to science and biology, to keep quiet and suck it up. She added, Bridges will now have to wait until his current UCI registration as a male cyclist expires before he can register and compete as a woman. So yeah, I mean, this is just common sense, man. This is just common sense. I mean, yeah, the way that this should work is that trans people should compete amongst themselves, right? That is what should happen here, okay? They should compete amongst themselves, or they should compete based off their biological sex. However, they can't be taking hormones that will give them an advantage, right? Like, for example, trans men, they can't be competing against men while taking testosterone, right? No. They can't have that, okay? That's cheating. That's like taking steroids, right? That's just how it is. Quote, we may as well just say goodbye to women's sports now if a separate transgender category is not created. Runner Ellie Baker, who placed fourth at the European 800 meters indoor athletic championships, told The Telegraph, unfortunately in sport, you can't have blurred lines. I refuse to race and hope that the other women would stand with me on this. This is totally unfair. The advantages a trans woman has had from going through puberty as a boy to a man can never be undone, she said. Ding, 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 ding. Look at this. How hard is this, bro? How hard is this? How hard is it for women simply to stand up and to tell the truth, dog? And look what happened when they did. They got what they wanted, at least temporarily. At the end of the day, they have the power. And you're seeing exactly what happens when women exercise that power. There's been widespread outrage over the inclusion of Bridges into women's category. He was originally on the Great Britain Academy program as a male rider named Zach Bridges and was an elite contender in men's events until just last month. Bridges began hormone therapy last year and was declared eligible to compete as a woman under British cycling policy, prompting him to lower his testosterone to the required levels. Again, even if they lower your testosterone, that doesn't eliminate the advantage. I mean, look at this person. They still got a bulge going on here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying. They still swinging, okay? I don't think that this is fair. Despite Bridges' ouster from the Saturday race, British Cycling put a lengthy statement saying it recognized his disappointment with the UCI's decision. All right. So I think that's enough of that, okay? The point of this video, women have the power to save their own sport, okay? And when women step up and speak out against what is something that is blatantly unfair, this is what happens, right? Women get their way. None of those cyclists that stood up, none of those women that spoke out, they're not going to get canceled, right? They're not going to lose their sponsorships. They're not going to lose any of that stuff. Because at the end of the day, most people agree with them and they're right, right? They're right, okay? And like I said, if they're not going to stand up for themselves, then why should anybody else stand up for them? Because other people stand up for them is not going to do much of anything, okay? The only people who actually have the power to change it are the women that actually are competing. They're the only ones. Again, this is a textbook example right here of what all women should be doing, okay? Transgender athletes can compete among themselves or against people that match their biological sex. That is what is fair, and that's just the way it should be, period. Right? That's just the way it should be. Okay? So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.